Okay, it's time for everyone to know what's going on with these clowns that are in charge of Port Mansfield. It's time everyone is aware of the shady deals that are being orchestrated by the Navigation District and the board members. Here's a good example. If the Willacy County Navigation District has a 4.5-acre harbor waterfront property worth an estimated $1.8 million and sells that property for $80,000, anyone with a calculator can see that the taxpayers have been cheated out of over $1.7 million in value. Why would they sell prime property so cheap, especially when they received a much larger offer for a fraction of the same lot? Here is another example. Port Director Ronald Mills gives prime waterfront acreage to Chad Kinney. The deal is justified with promises by Chad to bring commerce to Port Mansfield by providing a fish market, a place for local fishermen to sell their catch. The fish market will be operated by a long-time local Mario Garcia. But then, Ronald Mills allows Chad Kinney to sell the property, and Chad, he profits over $1 million. You would think the profits would go back to the Navigation District. But instead, Chad Kinney buys a 70-foot luxury fishing yacht. And where is a man to park a large vessel, you might ask? Well, no worries. The Navigation District proceeds to donate more waterfront property. So, where did the fish market go? What about the promises for the port's commerce? What about the promises to Mario Garcia? His place of business taken from him and he is forced to relocate. The property is turned from commercial zoning into residential. The fish market is demolished to make way for a private swimming pool and boat storage for the new resident, and the board approved. Today, Mario, seeing the power that one can obtain by acquiring a position on the board, decides to now run in the local election for the chairman-at-large position. He is in a race against Chad Kinney, the current chairman-at-large, and the president of Public Utility District, Eric Kennedy. The board schemes a plan to allow Mario to put his name on the ballot. The board plans to allow him to run and possibly win the position, at which time they will bring up Mario's record and then charge him with perjury for not declaring he was convicted of a felony when he was young. This seems quite unfair, seeing that Chad Kinney was a convicted felon when he originally ran and took the chairman position himself. He signed documents lying about his criminal history, and Ronald Mills approved it. Therefore, Chad himself committed perjury. Chad won that election by 1 vote. You see, only 1 person voted. That's right, Mr. Kinney voted himself into the position, and the board approved. In addition to all these atrocities, if Mr. Mills is allowed to have 2 salaries, one as port director, one as head of the Public Utility District, and on top of those he gets a housing allowance, a car allowance, a telephone allowance and additional perks for naming himself Director of Port Police, the taxpayer is cheated out of thousands of dollars annually, while Mr. Mills has contributed little, if anything, to the development or improvement of Port Mansfield during his 10 years in office. However, Ronald Mills has come up with one form of generating revenue for the Navigation District. Finally, Ron Mills has reserved a majority of the remaining Port Mansfield properties. He claims to be working with the construction company North American Standards for the development of these lots. The board of North American Standards consists of several convicted felons, and the board members change frequently. The only way to communicate with North American Standards is through Ron Mills. And the board approves.